Hi. I want at least 5 people in here before I start reading. At least 5. Hello. If we can get 5. 3 or more, right? Okay. All right. Okay, y'all. I want us to talk about hope. Happy Friday. Thank you. I want to talk about hope. I've been studying the book of Proverbs again for about, what's today? It's the 15th. I've been studying the book of Proverbs since the beginning of January. It's a Faithfully Fit challenge that I'm a part of. And one of the scriptures that stuck out to me the other day was Proverbs chapter 13, verse 12. And normally I would come and I would post a bunch of pictures with long captions. But this time I decided I wanted to go live. I decided that I wanted to talk straight to y'all. I'm very nervous. I've never done anything like this. I might have tried and might have not gone through with it, but this time I want to just talk to y'all. So we're going to talk about hope today. So Proverbs chapter 13 verse 12 says, "A hope deferred makes the heart sick, but a longing fulfilled is a tree of life," right? And if I'm looking down, it's because I'm looking at the notes. And if you hear the pages flipping, it's the notes. So I'm going to read everything I have off my paper because, I don't believe myself to be so great at oral speaking. Like I said, this is my first time. I'm a bit nervous just talking straight to y'all. But the first thought that came to mind when I read the scripture was, what am I putting my hope in the first place that creates a hopelessness within me during the patient portion of fulfilling this longing? So the word deferred means to postpone. It means to set aside. And oftentimes I do know that from experience, speaking personally, when a hope has been deferred, when something that we want so badly to happen takes longer than we think it should happen or longer than we thought it would happen, sometimes it creates a hopelessness within us. It can create depression, spaces of anxiety, spaces of discouragement, feeling like it will never happen, And so my first thought was, what am I putting my hope in the first place that creates a hopelessness? And it's crazy, not crazy, but ironic, because something that I've been saying or just praying as of late is, God, I put my trust in you. I'm a dreamer. I'm very big on following my dreams, very big on asking God for the interpretations of my dreams. And I used to do this thing where if I feel like God showed me something in a dream, I was going to follow that dream through and through. I was going to even remind God, but God, in this dream you said, because in the physical realm, it might have happened differently. But I, as of late, have just been like, God, I put my hope and my trust in you. I didn't want it to be in a dream, in a vision, in what somebody might have said to me in a sermon. I needed my hope to be fully in God, right? So I basically wrote out that, but I want to read it to you word for word. Whatever I am hopeful for, I need to put that hope in God. When I put my hope in God, I give myself the opportunity to be able to wait on God's best for me, regardless of what he does with what it is that I'm hopeful for. And it isn't to say that if what I'm hopeful for isn't God's will for me, that I won't be saddened. But it does say, because I trusted God enough to put whatever I'm hopeful for in his hands, I put my hope in his hands, that if it doesn't come to pass when or how I feel like it should come to pass, that hope deferred won't feel so deferred or sickening at all. Right? So I've had moments before where I was hopeful about something, and I'm speaking on a specific situation, hopeful about something, feel like I'm seeing all the dreams. People I'm talking to say that they can see it happening and this, that, and the third. And baby, years have passed and it has not happened, and years have passed and I'm still having the dreams, and some people are still saying what they're saying, and even sometimes I just feel this feeling like, oh, it's happening, it's gonna happen, it's coming to pass, right? But I'm reminded of a scripture, and I can't remember which book it's in, but there was someone that God sent an angel to give a vision to. And the angel told the person, he said to the man, but don't even worry about it. Like, by the time this comes to pass, you won't even see it, right? And that, for me, is just like, oh, snap. Like, by the time this thing happens, I'm probably going to be old. I probably won't see it come to pass. And so that helps me to further put my trust in God. But the scripture that I actually pulled from for that was Psalm 131 verse 1. David says, I do not concern myself with great matters or things too wonderful for me. And I feel like when we completely trust God with our hope, when we relinquish all control over that thing, it then becomes a matter of following God's instructions pertaining to that hope and how it will be fulfilled. This was the first passage I thought of actually for when I was thinking about who I'm giving my hope to. And once I've given it to God, it's no longer my concern. The outcome of that hope, how long it takes, the hope deferred is no longer mine to consider, right? So once I've given the hope to God, it's no longer something that I should be creating big space for anymore, right? Until it's actually time for that hope to come to pass, when or however God says so. I actually put a side note here before I get into anything else. And the side note is, when we put our hope in God, we are then able to discern if what we are hoping for is ours or if it's something that is God's will. Something I've learned is we don't want to get our hopes for ourselves and God's hopes for us mixed up to a point where we are, someone once said to me, moving without God's direction. And that sticks with me so much. And so I wanted to come on here and I wanted to use this passage to encourage you to give your hope to God. Proverbs 13:12. So that when you are being hopeful for something, however long it takes, however long the hope is deferred, you are still able to say to God, well, God, I trust you with this. I'm putting my hope in your hands. Whatever it is that I'm hopeful for, whatever it is that I'm hoping for, God, I'm trusting you with it. I'm trusting that it's going to come to pass how you see for it to come to pass. I'm trusting that it's going to happen when you say it should happen, how you say it should happen, and it being deferred will not make me sick. And if I am sick about it at some point, I can still be reminded that, you know what, I've given it to God. It is going to happen in the best possible way for me. And so I did write a little something else, and so I'm going to read that. And so, when that longing is finally fulfilled, I hope that you'll be brought to a tree of life within yourself. I hope that you will feel the accomplishment, and you will have moments when you're trying to be in control again, and your mind will run rampant about when. And I want to tell you to give that thing back to God as many times as you have to. Whatever good thing you are hopeful for, keep entrusting it to God, and be keen and vigilant to his instructions for you, personally, but also that of which is in his word. And so, I know this was short. I wasn't trying to be here long. Like I said, I was nervous. It was my first time. But I'm hoping that whatever you are hopeful for, if that thing is deferred, if you've been hopeful for it for years, whatever it is, whether it's a relationship, an illness, you're overcoming something, I'm hoping that you put that hope in God's hands. Because when you put your hope in God's hands, no matter how long it takes, no matter how it happens, it's going to feel and it's going to be the best thing for you. And when it happens, when it is accomplished, you will feel the tree of life growing in you. And so I just wanted to encourage y'all with that. And Proverbs chapter 12 on, I'm not sure how far, but I know in between there, it's just a bunch of advice that King Solomon was giving to us. And so Proverbs 13:12, a hope deferred makes the heart sick, but a longing fulfilled brings the tree of life. And so I'm hoping that your tree of life will be brought to you pretty soon. And however long it takes, may you put that hope in God. Thank y'all so much for kicking it with me, those of you that stayed and even came but left. I hope that we can do this again. So I want to call this series We Study. It'll be very random. But I got the idea for the title from Kiara Shear. Hers is entitled Study With Me. And so when I share my studies with y'all, because I have a whole lot of these dissertations, y'all, but when I finally start sharing my studies with y'all, I want to call it We Study. So thank y'all so much. I hope that your hope deferred comes to life pretty soon. Peace out, y'all.